Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to this SmackDown breakdown and overview video. I want to just have a look through SmackDown because I felt like this week there was quite a few talking points. They weren't major talking points, but just little things that were dotted throughout the show that I thought were really engaging, kept me captivated. I think this show was missing like a major moment, a major talking point, but as I said, lots of little things. And so let's work our way through, shall we? So obviously we had the King of the Hill logo in the ring. A lot of people will know that that was going to happen because we'd spoken on Unseen about the fact that there was going to be this King of the Hill crossover. Actually, I was expecting there to be more kind of behind the scenes stuff, which had been rumoured, which I don't know if that's going to happen further down the road or if they scrapped it. But we did get the King of the Hill logo in the middle of the ring. Then, of course, we had our Open. This is where Sami came out, confronted the MFTs and Solo. I got to admit, this was one of the first talking points. The fact that Sami said that he was so fixated on the world title that he's been ignoring everything else. And that now means that he's looking to change his focus. I mean, that is in a roundabout way, Sami saying, I'm not going to focus on the world title anymore. I'm going to focus on some other stuff, which is just not a great message, is it? For him to say, I'm not going to focus on the top title. Let's get stuck in to a mid-card championship. Like, that's a hard sell, in my opinion. But the big reveal was that he is now on SmackDown. Now, obviously, there was a big brawl. Out came Jimmy Uso. Out came Jacob. And I loved Jacob's shirt, the vest. I thought that was brilliant. I thought it looked brilliant. We are just putting these little touches into his presentation where we're just constantly like tweaking and changing things about how he looks. And I just thought that like vest with werewolf and the design on it, the same design that's on his shirts, just thought it looked really, really good. Of course, there was Sami in there saying he has now moved to SmackDown. That was a big talking point. Now, I missed these "We Want Cross" chants. Actually, later on in our watch along, I was saying we haven't heard any, and also I've not seen any signs. But apparently there was one. So this is "We Want Cross." Let's check it out.
Look, this past Monday...
I mean, it's there. It's nothing sizable, I would say. I think someone in the crowd has tried to start it. There's a few people that have joined in there. But it's certainly enough for Carrion to say, I hear you. That tweet getting a couple of 100,000 views. So certainly Carrion heard the "We Want Cross" chants. I think if this is a work, though, I think WWE are going to be disappointed that more fans have not engaged in that, right? So I think actually that is something which I think has been a bit disappointing. Honestly, we didn't see anything coming out of Raw apart from a few signs. We got one chant at the start of the show. Maybe someone's going to tell me there was another one. Certainly nothing as I was watching the show that resonated with me. And I do think that's disappointing, but we know that Carrion was not a SmackDown superstar. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens on Raw on Monday and see if we actually get more signs there, more chants there, see what we get there. The other talking point as well was this. So this was Alexa. So here she is holding up Lily. This was right at the very start of the match. And the reason why I've included this is because it feels like we're trying to make Lily a bigger part of this team. Obviously, last week we saw Charlie get presented to Charlotte. Now, Charlie was not around this week, but Lily was shown at the start of the match. And so it really did feel like we were trying to give Lily a moment. And then, of course, during the match, we get Chelsea, we get Piper, we get people coming over, acting like they're going to steal Lily. So there was a few moments where Lily just got shown a little bit more in the presentation. And so I did wonder where that could lead. Of course, Alexa would get the victory. Afterwards, a beatdown, though. Charlotte and Alexa getting destroyed by Chelsea and the Hervis. So definitely doesn't feel like this has ended. It feels like, if anything, it's only just begun. Sami, of course, saying that he is now a member of the SmackDown roster. Backstage, Nia Jax says that she wants to get an opportunity at the Women's Championship. And I would say that's quite interesting because a lot of people were hoping we'd moved on from that feud. This is a talking point, but maybe not in a good way, not in a positive way. I think people were hoping that Tiffany would now go on to face new challenges, not go back to Nia Jax. So Nia making her presence felt there. Then, of course, we moved on to our tag match, Melo Don't Miz. We've got a new nameplate being shown for Melo Don't Miz, and there you can see it on screen. Melo Don't Miz. Nothing special, but does that suggest they're actually going to team for a little while? Why would they give them this new nameplate if they're just going to split them up very, very quickly? In the crowd, of course, we saw Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis. I thought this was really interesting, the way we presented the Wyatt Sicks. I thought this was a big positive. So actually, Gacy, Lumis in the crowds. They were only shown briefly. They didn't get involved in the match or anything. And the way the match ended was that The Miz kind of stole the victory away from Carmelo. So it was a win for Melo Don't Miz. I was thinking there was a chance they might split up here. They didn't. And actually it was The Miz that stole the win, the pin away from Carmelo. He was very frustrated by that. Backstage, now this was really interesting because I missed this. Kiana James offered her services to Tiffany, which I really like because I think that Kiana is someone that is a sort of business manager for Julia, and it would make sense that she would want other clients. So going and trying to get Tiffany, and I think Tiffany as a heel makes a lot of sense. I actually really wanted this to work. I really wanted this to come off. I don't think it's going to by the looks of it, but I do like what we're doing there. But it's that in the background that I missed. I'm told that it was quite obvious, but honestly, I was making a few notes for this video, so I didn't see this moment, but that is Nikki Cross kind of standing, I think, facing the back of this lorry, this truck, and her reflection could be seen. So not only did we have the Wyatt Sicks kind of popping up in the crowd, Uncle Howdy would be spotted later, we were doing some really creative work, honestly. That's really creative. I mean, she could have just been standing in the background or peering from around there to actually show her that way instead. Very interesting. And of course, her being around, keeping an eye on what's happening in the women's division is obviously great news for Nikki Cross stands. Right, then of course we had the Drew McIntyre promo. He said that he is the real nightmare, which I thought was good. I thought that was really good. So he was just talking about how he's not really the enemy, how Cody was going to put him through a commentary table. He was just trying to defend himself. You know, it's more of that sort of Drew McIntyre propaganda. But good. Yeah, I thought it was a decent promo. MFTs next week want to try and get the tag team championships. Eric Rowan was lurking in the background. So in the background, we can see Talla. And the more I see Talla, the more I get excited. This guy, honestly, so much potential. But there in the background, just in the distance, you can see Eric Rowan lurking. Talla sensed that he was there. We found out that Naomi is going to be on Raw, and she is going to be talking about the future of the women's division. I'm guessing her injury or what's actually going on. So that is going to be a huge segment on Monday. Raw is going to be unmissable as we get an update from Naomi. Yeah, this was really sick.
This team is game. Oh my God!
The way that B-Fab hit those ring steps is moody, mate.
Oh my God!
Honestly, really, really flipping moody. It would be a win for the Street Profits. They would get past DIY. Backstage, we had Uncle Howdy just sort of lurking in the background. Melo Don't Miz and Motor City were arguing. Uncle Howdy lurking in the background. Of course, a match here would be made between these teams. Then, of course, we had R-Truth, who was acting very jovial, very happy. And, of course, Aleister Black approached him, and then he turned very serious. I actually think what we're doing with the R-Truth character is we're going to now start getting a kind of mixture of both, which could be really interesting. So we have seen some development there. I think the development is really interesting. We're going to get, hopefully, the best of both worlds. The majority of the time, it's going to be comedic. It's going to be fun, R-Truth. But there are going to be moments where he is going to have to snap into wrong killings. And actually, I think this is going to be a much better blend. Backstage, Jacob was like, don't get it twisted. I have not come out to save you, Sami. I came out earlier to help my family, my blood in Jimmy. And, Sami was like, well, okay. It was really good, actually, because there was some in our community, in our watch-along, saying it doesn't make sense. Why would Jacob save Sami? And, my feeling was, well, look, he's a babyface. He's coming down. Really, it's not about saving Sami. He's got big issues with Solo. I think anyone that's got an issue with Solo is going to be a friend to Jacob. Jacob just sort of making it known, not really. We're not friends. I don't know you. I don't even know if I can trust you, but I'm always going to be there for family. I think that meant that obviously later when he does kind of give Sami an embrace at the very end of the show, kind of meant that little bit more. They set it up really well, actually. John Cena returns next week. We're in Ireland for SmackDown. Also next week, we've got Alistair and R-Truth, and of course, Motor City taking on Melo Don't Miz, plus that John Cena return. And then, of course, our main event here, we've got Sami doing the little dance. So a little embrace between these two. There we go. He puts his hand out. They embrace. Show of respect. Sami was able to get the pin and the win. And Sami even does, right at the very end, the little Jacob Fatu. Here we go. So there we go. It's, I think, a SmackDown that was missing a major moment. It was a SmackDown that was missing something truly noteworthy. But it was also a SmackDown that I found myself engaged with all throughout. And I think, as you can see, there's quite a few things we were able to take out of the show. So our attention now turns to Monday Night Raw, and whatever Naomi has got to say.